The Fujicast is an independent Loading Zone production.
Kev, of late, I've been talking to, through the other podcast, the one that's just over there, Kev. I've been talking to people about social...
Which one? You've got two over there now.
Well, no, I have. The wedding one hasn't started yet.
Got a name for it?
1,000. Yeah, we have 1,000 weddings.
There you go.
That's not started yet. It will be starting. I had plans to do it for the start of August. Maybe you could advise me here, Kev. But I think it might be the start of September. Right, with holidays and hollybobs and stuff coming up, you'd probably say, Neil, do it properly. Wait another 4 weeks, or would you say, hang it, just do it? Would you? Are you of the just do it variety, Kev?
Yeah, I got a Nike swish through my heart.
Have you? Do you know the Nike story, don't you? Why the tick? This we'll come on to what I was going to talk about in a minute, probably after the theme tune's been running. But do you know why the just do it?
I have a feeling you have told me, but I can't remember.
It's the story of Gary Gilmore on death row. It's a gruesome story. Who, when facing the firing squad, said, let's just get on with it, or something like that. He didn't say just do it, but it effectively, and I can't remember the marketing man's name, but it effectively, the marketing man, when he heard about it from Nike, said, I can't believe that somebody at that moment, in that situation, with that much going on in your mind, would have the presence of mind to say, just get on with it, or just do it. It's a gruesome reason, though, isn't it? To have a tick.
Yeah. No, horrible. I mean, I thought he went on to form Pink Floyd myself, but there you go.
I think you've got the wrong one there, Kev.
The Fujicast.
Yeah, entirely the wrong one. Welcome to the Fujicast. Certainly not the history cast of rock music. You and your questions that you've sent in to click@fujicast.co.uk, or, of course, through the Facebook group. We've been doing better. I know the last time we talked, Kev, you were a bit concerned. You said, come on, you're not sending enough in. But it comes in waves, doesn't it, really? Questions within Facebook. How have we done of late?
Yeah, I'm having to do that ridiculous scrolly thing now because Facebook have changed. And I have to go all the way to the bottom, keep pressing on view more, and we've had one.
Okay. So after all that view more, there's one. Well, we'll manage to milk it. We'll make it work, Kev. We'll make it work. We've got to record two, actually, in short succession, because your Hollybobs is coming up, Kev. You're off. You're making something like a 102-day drive down to Spain. God.
3-day drive.
Well, 3-day.
So 2 days. In 2 days' time, we'll be going as of the launching. Are you looking forward to it? I am looking forward to it immensely. I've got all my editing up to date. I've got everything sorted. I have got one wedding left on Saturday, the last one.
Well, it would have gone by now. You'd have done it.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes, I would have done it by now. You're right.
As you
I am
said,
now officially an ex-wedding photographer as well as an ex-ex photographer, and I've got an ex-wife kicking around. A lot of exes.
You're an ex-ex photographer for Fujifilm, ex-wedding photographer, ex-husband.
Yeah,
you're just
right.
One big ex.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Not Gemma, in case anybody gets confused.
No. Well, you only just tied the knot officially, didn't you, really?
Well, I married her twice.
Married her twice, actually, which makes it very official.
Very complicated life.
A bless.
Exes and marrying the same person twice. So, there we go.
God, Kev. I was going to ask at the start, before we sort of got diverted there, and it's probably more relevant now that we're talking about all your exes in front of your name. Now you're an ex of an ex of an ex. What does that mean with regard to things like social media for you? Is your social media channel going to change immeasurably? Will it look different?
Well, yeah, it will, because it's already looking a bit different. There's more kind of stuff on there. I can put the judo stuff on there, put some personal stuff. I always have done. My Instagram I've never ever been just about weddings and getting bookings. It's always had if I'm on holiday, I stick pictures up there. So in that respect, no, it won't change. I.e., the strategy won't change, but the content will, because there will be less wedding stuff. Yeah.
Do you think?
Although I do intend on going right the way through all my old archives and getting all my weddings online at some point via my blog. So I will probably find some old gems that I will post.
I thought you were going to say old gemmers for a moment. Hang on a minute. Yeah. Well, you have to carry on, Kev. You're now officially my agent. You can't stop. If I ever need a second shooter, is it pointless phoning you?
No, I'll do that.
Would you?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, no stress, isn't it? Turn up, rock up.
And just give me the files at the end. Bit like our favourite. What was it called? Jaggy JPEG.
Jaggy JPEG.
Yeah?
Jaggy JPEG. I could be the Jaggy JPEG.
Whatever happened to Jaggy JPEG?
He's on a yacht somewhere in the Bahamas, I would imagine.
Probably is. Yeah. I met a videographer a couple of weddings ago, 2-3 weddings back, who had sort of a similar sort of idea. He had the video idea to Jaggy JPEG. He said, all I'm going to do, he was quite dour about weddings, to be honest. He said, all I want to do is I want to turn up, record it, give them the tape, then go on to the next one. And I want to have 15, 20 people do that for me. Nobody needs to have edited videos, he said. I didn't quite agree with that. I thought, okay. There's
a price point for it. You know, that's the thing. That's how Jaggy JPEG was so successful, because his USP was the fact that he was the cheapest, but he earned more money than almost everybody at the time.
Did he? Do you know that for sure?
Well, I don't know that for sure, but that's what I was told by people in the industry at the time.
Yeah.
You know, he had like 30 people working for him every Saturday, and you know, it was just a very, very good business model, because of course there is there will be people who want a film but can't afford a fully beautiful edited cinematic film.
But they don't just want the rushes. They don't just want the rushes, Kev. Surely.
Well, there will be people who will take that, I'm sure.
Really?
With a cheap enough price. But yeah, I mean, it's not something that would interest me necessarily. But there you go.
Jaggy
it's these days, isn't it? You know, it's easy. You just stick the stuff in a piece of software and boom, Bob's your uncle.
Yeah, as you always say. Who is Bob? I've never met this Bob of yours that you keep talking about.
Oh, I thought he was your uncle as well.
Well, he seems to be everybody's uncle. Before we go further, thank you to our sponsors. pic-time.com is the website to go to if you would like to display your photographs, the pictures that you make at weddings or portraits, commercial work. If you're selling to clients, fantastic. I was about to say Bob's your uncle. This is a service for you, Kev, because it's a beautiful way to do it. You essentially have what looks like a bespoke website that's promoting your pictures and gives you a shop window, a quite literal shop for people to buy prints and albums and other stuff as well. I just made a £250 print sale only yesterday, Kev. 250 quid. I thought I didn't even have to change out of my white Y-fronts that I got up from in the morning to have earned £250. I like that as a concept. I probably need to push it more. You have ingenious ways that you've used PicTime.
I haven't been ingenious with it. It's been ingenious for me, I would say. So, like the anniversary emails and, the clever use of the automations. I think it's brilliant. I'm using it. I'm just uploading a gallery now for a family shoot that I did last week. The third time I've photographed this family now, one of my ex-wedding clients. And, it's just beautiful, isn't it? I just pop the images up, create a slideshow, send it off to them. Bob's your uncle. I give them a £50 print credit. It's all dealt with. The prints go to them. I don't even see it. I know. It's like free money.
I'm not so sure it's free money. You've got to work for it first, though, Kev.
I always laugh when when you're in London and you come to you see phone boxes with cash machines in them nowadays. It says free cash at the top. What they mean is they're not going to charge you. Yeah. It's clickbait for phone boxes.
I suppose it is.
They're not even phone boxes. You get in there.
No phone. No, I know. You've got a defibrillator or usually a stack of Bibles.
Yeah, or books or something.
In most of them. Right. We have a bookity book today, don't we?
We do. We've got a great book.
What have we got?
By podcast listener Robert Birnbach. And if you remember, we talked about his images before, the beautiful jazz music that he photographs, although this is just about jazz. So we'll get to that. He kindly sent us, me, a copy of his book called The Silence Between.
Why don't you just say he kindly sent me, you're able to look at it if you ever come over for a cup of coffee, Neil, book.
Correct. That's very true. And also for the next podcast, we have another one.
Oh, we do? Blimey. His books are doing well, right? Where are we going to start with emails or questions? Do you want to go first or me?
I'll go first.
Go
Why
on,
not?
then.
Most recent,
Yep.
the most recent question that came in through Facebook is from Camille Daniels. Says, "Dear Neil and Kevin,
Yeah.
I got my hands on a Fujifilm FinePix JV100
Right.
digital camera."
I'm going to have to look this up.
Yes, you do that.
FinePix
JV100. JV100. And I was wondering if this was a good choice to start a wedding photography business. Please keep in mind it is a pink one. Kind regards from you.
Oh, isn't that funny? The pink one, I've just seen it. So I've got a used one here on eBay for £89.99.
Yeah, I'm looking at that right now as well.
Yeah.
But there's irony in this question, and I'll explain why. So, first of all, that somebody did comment on the thread in the Facebook group. Now, bear in mind, the Facebook posts, the ones that say questions for the show post, technically, I a little bit of me gets a teeny weeny bit angry when people reply to those posts because they're for the podcast. Yeah. However, only a teeny weeny bit.
Who answered? Was it Steve again?
No, Pete answered. So Pete Griffiths answered. Pete. Right, and I'll let him off with this. Yeah. Because Pete used to be one of the sales reps for Fujifilm back in the 80s and 90s and early and noughties and all of that kind of stuff. He's retired now, but that would have been one of his things, kind of the compact point and shoot. This is a digital camera, but maybe some of the old film cameras, the disposable cameras that you would find at the airports, all that kind of stuff. That would have been Pete's remit when he was a young lad. So he replies here, I'm looking forward to Kevin's reply to this one, or Kevin and Neil's reply. So hopefully by now, dear listener, you may have typed into Google Fujifilm FinePix JV100 pink edition and realized that no, neither Neil or I would recommend this as a wedding photography starter kit. However, it's a little bit of fun, and I quite like the look of the pink one. Red one looks a bit smart as well.
It did have a mighty 12 megapixels with a 3 times optical zoom, Kev.
Yeah. Well, and the fact is, that's far more technologically advanced than a lot of the early days DSLRs that people used to use. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, actually, I'm going to go back on what I said. Yes, you could do it.
I don't think so, Kev. I wouldn't.
But the irony is, since we last spoke, and I told you about my collection of stuff that I'd inherited.
Oh, the film stuff, yeah.
Yeah, well, I've inherited a whole load more now from the same place.
Brilliant. Well, I'm due to come over. You've not got rid of it yet, have you?
No, I'm not going to get rid of any of it. But I've inherited now another probably 20 cameras, many of which are very old film cameras. None of them are, like no Leicas or anything in there, sadly. But one of the things that I did get was something called Fujifilm Zoom 60. So pop that into your Google.
Let me look that up. Tell me about it while you're telling us about it.
Fujifilm Zoom 60.
Zoom 60, right.
It's a 35mm film camera. I've opened the back. There's no film in there.
It's not worth much, by the way. £11.95.
I know, yeah, £11.95. Well, my one I don't think is even worth that because I can't open the battery compartment. Although it does have a little screw on it. Maybe I need to do the screw. So my question, my challenge, if you like, to Camille is, Camille, when you do photograph your first wedding with the Fujifilm FinePix JV100, I will come for free with my Fujifilm Zoom 60, which does not work because I can't open the battery compartment, and photograph it with you.
What? If it doesn't work, what's the point of you going, Kev?
Well, I know because it's not going to. It's just a joke.
Well, but no, I think Camille might actually find a wedding to photograph with that gauntlet laid down, or say, I've got my friend's wedding coming up. Fancy coming over, Kev?
Hey, and look at this. This is interesting. This is very interesting. At the bottom of my Fujifilm Zoom 60, which is an old 35mm film camera from back in the day, it says Fuji Photo Film Co. Limited. So there's a couple of things I'm going to pick up on here, right? Right. Fuji Photo Films, Fuji Space Photo Film.
Oh, right.
When I was, before I was an XX ambassador, I was an X photographer.
Yeah.
One of the things that came our way early in the days was, please do not refer to the company as Fuji.
Yes, yeah.
Please refer to it as Fujifilm.
Yes.
All one word. So this actually is called Fuji Space Photo Space Film Space Co. Limited.
They obviously didn't get the memo, Kev.
Pete's going to be wetting himself with all of this nostalgia. There is, and then underneath it says Tokyo, Japan in capitals. Then underneath it says Made in China.
Right.
So as we all know, a lot of people are got their knickers in a twist about the X100 VI being made in not in Japan, but it's and they're all like, oh, Japan, oh, Fujifilm's always made their stuff in Japan, blah 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 blah.
But they
blah,
didn't.
Blah, blah,
they
blah,
didn't.
Blah.
You see, it was made in China. This one,
correct, and it weren't made in Japan. Yes, so there you go. Unwrap your knickers, people. It's totally irrelevant. There we go.
That Fuji
made in China, just like your iPhones and half of your cars and your televisions that you're all mounting.
That Fujifilm FinePix JV100, 12 megapixel, 3 times optical zoom. What was there? Do you remember the first megawatts that packed your first ever professional camera, Kev? Do you remember what it was? Do you remember how high that number was? How many megapixels?
First one I had was a Canon D20, I think.
How many was that?
I don't know. Hang on.
Let's have a look. Canon D20.
D20? No, that's EOS D20. There we go.
There we
EOS.
are. Oh,
8.5.
8.5. So that was less
megapixels.
And that wouldn't have been full frame, would it? No, it wouldn't have been. So there we go. Yeah, maybe he could do it.
Oh, he could do it. He could do it. What's his name?
Camille.
No, not Camille. That other guy photographed one on a mobile phone, didn't he? Because he was paid by
Huawei. Yeah.
And he made reasonable pictures with it.
Yeah, that's true. It can be done, but probably with a safety net. Here's one from Adam B. Hello, both. My question is about any X Pro 3 replacement. I've been a happy owner of the X Pro 2 and 3. However, from listening to other owners, it seems that both models had their detractors. Sounds like a character, doesn't it? Detractor. The X Pro 2 allegedly had an issue with the eye cup detaching from the body. I think we talked about that before, didn't we, Kev?
Indeed. Yeah.
You've got eye caps at the bottom of your bag, haven't you?
Yeah.
And the X Pro 3 allegedly had rear screen durability issues. Oh, the amount of times we talked about that, Kev.
Mm-hmm.
Though from experience of both bodies, I've never seen any of these issues with mine. I do enjoy the form factor of the rangefinder style design, but I'm not a fond fan of the back of the X Pro 3. I find the functionality of the screen awkward and question the point of the sub-screen. Did you ever question the point of that sub-screen?
Yeah, I was never a fan of the sub-screen. I was a fan of the screen, the tilt, but I wasn't necessarily a fan of that sub-monitor, they call it, which has the film, the shooting settings.
Yeah, it looks like you've just popped the film thing in the back, doesn't it? Like what you used to.
The reason why I didn't really like it was because it wasn't backlit, so it was useless in the dark.
Yeah.
And just, really only catered for people who are shooting JPEG. But yes. But no, I never, my X Pro 2, I still have my eye caps on. My X Pro 3s, of which I have 2 of them. I have I've got 3 X Pro 2s, 2 X Pro 3s. My X Pro 3s, neither of them have had any rear LCD problems. They both all still work. Well, all 3 of them work perfectly well. However, I do know several people who have had those issues.
Yeah. I did. I used to lose my eyepieces.
My XT2, the eyepieces, because they slipped in. They just slipped in rather than X Pro 2. I'm not so sure why X Pro 2.
They clicked in, but they didn't seem to stay clicked in.
Oh, the XTs they did, but the X Pros, I'm fairly sure, were glued in. So I don't recall thinking too much about that. But certainly the XTs, they went missing all the time.
All right. Well, Adam says, overall, it put me off moving from my X Pro 2 for a while, which I considered a much better integration. For me, the simplistic rear of the Leica M Q, with its central fixed screen and buttons on each side, is not only beautiful, but functional. In any XP4, I'd love to see a larger EVF. I find myself squinting with the current arrangement. I also hope we get a larger battery than the XT5. I'm glad that Fujifilm are taking their time with this next model. I really hope they'll get it right. No unnecessary additions, just plain, simple durability, pared back design that works. I know you, Neil, use an XP1. I do, and I still love it. And Kev, you use the X Pro 3. What would your ideal X Pro model be?
I actually did a YouTube video on this about 3 months ago.
You did, yeah.
Titled, We Need to Talk About the X Pro 4. And
good clickbait, Kev. Good clickbait. Yeah.
I outlined what I would like to see there.
So go on then and outline. What we'll do is we'll do a link to that video. So don't do the whole video now, obviously. But what were some of the bits?
Ultimately, I would like to see, yes, the EVF could be higher resolution. I'm not fussed about the battery. We certainly don't need one bigger than the XT5, which I think you said, but perhaps the same size as the XT5, as long as it does not affect the size of the camera or the ergonomics of the camera. That's the key critical thing. I would like to see. I would be very happy with the 26 megapixel sensor. It does not need to have the all singing, dancing 40 megapixel sensor.
Oh, that was the thing I thought you might change. I thought you might change that bit.
No, not for
because that's what you like about the VI, isn't it?
Yeah, it's part of the reason I like it, but it's not necessary and the reason why it's not necessary in the X Pro is because unless there's two variants of it, because you have the options. You've got your XH, you've got your XT5s, you've got your XT4s, you've got your X Pros. X100 is there's only one of them. So it makes sense to have that bigger sensor. I would prefer that they stuck with the 26 megapixel sensor and made it far better in low light conditions. These things won't happen, by the way, because I'm fairly sure they won't happen. They will put the newer sensor in. Might be the 26 megapixel sensor you see in the XH, but with the new fancy autofocus and all of that kind of stuff. I personally don't think it needs things like face detection and animal detection and aeroplane detection and critter detection and child detection and all of that kind of stuff. But of course, it will all be in there because it makes no sense for them not to do it, because it will cost them more money to take it out than it would to keep it in. Same as filming. A lot of people commented on that video, on that film that I did. The X Pro does not need to have any film stuff. They should take that out, make it cheaper. And the fact is, if they took that element of it away, it would be more expensive, not cheaper, because they'd have to make a new sensor, new software, new interface, everything. So, just switch it off. It might be a nice idea if they had an option deep down in the settings, which said switch off all video menu items, and then you could just switch them all back on again if you so wish in the future.
Well, but they wouldn't want to do that, because otherwise, why would you buy the XT? They've been slightly different when it comes to filming, haven't they?
Well, not sensor-wise. No, not really. The X Pro 3 was the same as the XT3.
Feature-wise, they haven't they? Or have I got that wrong?
Not really. I think there might have been a bit difference in terms of the bit rate, but other than that, it's pretty much the same sensor. So yeah, no real difference. I would like to see the ergonomics slightly adjusted. I'm not particularly fussed on a tilt screen on the back. But the LCD screen does need to kind of remain there. It's pretty close to where it should be.
Yeah.
My main angle with that video was, we're getting, I think, further and further away from the origins of that X series with new cameras, and they're all brilliant. Don't get me wrong, and it makes perfect sense for Fujifilm to be diversifying to offer products to different markets. Yeah. It just so happens that the ones I like, the X Pro and the X70, they seem to be ignoring.
When you say you like it to be ergonomically different, are you talking about a different style of grip? Because, of course, the Q3, I think, was it the Q3 or the Q2? No. Certainly the Qs were mentioned. And if you look at a Leica Q3, it's, there's no sort of grip for you.
No. The actual chassis, I would like to be pretty much the same. There's not, and I think this is part of the reason why Fujifilm have not come up with anything yet. Maybe they have, maybe they're just killing time, but is because what can you do apart from stick the new sensor in there? Maybe they're waiting to do something a lot nicer with it. I think it really is aimed at documentary photography, documentary photographers, street photographers. So, maybe a little bit more advanced work on zone focusing and metering and, stuff that is more specific to street photographers rather than just exactly the same menus and technology that you find in the XT, XH stuck into the X Pro body. Just to make it a bit different. Maybe some unique film simulations, maybe the idea I had a long time ago about having HSL type editing within the camera, that would open the whole marketplace up. The JPEGs simulation community is huge. People love it, and there's only really 12 things you can adjust. So there's only a finite amount of adjustments you can make your own film simulation with. But stick a HSL slider in there, boom, that camera will sell.
Well, there we go. Will they do it? We shall consider, isn't it? We shall consider. You mentioned Leica. The new Leica SL3 is out. How much is that? Shop now. Here we go. Shop now. Doot, 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 doot.
I didn't mention Leica.
I thought you mentioned Leica. You did mention Leica just a moment. No,
the question.
You also mentioned Leica.
The question you read out. Question you read out mentioned Leica.
I know it did, but then you repeated Leica, and I thought, hang on a moment. Is Kev about to leave for the Leica cast?
No. What I said is the X Pro 3 doesn't need to be like an X Pro 2.
Oh.
Like an X Pro 2, XT2, 3.
Oh, right. So you said like
an XT3.
Right, okay. All right, I'm with you now. Anyway, the Leica thing, the SL3, 5,920. I'll have three, please, and I'll sell. No, that's the camera, and I'll sell Kev's kidney just to afford it.
What? So SL3? I never heard of that one. I've heard of a.
Well, the SL2S was. It's a bit more DSLR-y kind of looking Leica. They're beautiful cameras, Kev. But anyway, let's just close that because don't touch what you can't afford.
Yeah, I can't afford that, that's for sure.
I'm very happy with my Fuji system, Fujifilm system. Thank you very much. Right, your question, Kev.
Interestingly, though, while we're talking about that and the styles and designs, I'm looking at pictures now. The Leica SL3 and versus the Leica Q3. I'm much more attracted to the Q3 in terms of where it looks.
Yeah, I know. I'm not surprised by that at all because you're more of a pro than a T, aren't you? Really?
Yeah.
So you're bound to like the Q, the Q more. Anyway, question from Facebook.
Craig Smith. I've just launched a new side hustle doing pet photography. Got a couple of first paid jobs coming in the next few weeks. And the URL for anybody that is interested is www.beautifulmonsters.co.uk.
What great domain name.
Yeah, I love that. Beautifulmonsters.co.uk.
Right.
Currently, I've only got an XT1 and an X Pro 1 with a 16mm f2.8, 23mm f2 and 50mm f2 lens. I prefer the close-up look rather than a zoomed look, and in brackets, although well higher the 50 to 140 when needed for the time being, maybe. So happy with my lenses for now. My question, am I kidding myself that the XT1 is a viable camera for this type of work? The X Pro, I accept, isn't, and that's really just a backup camera. Appreciate it's only got one slot, so not ideal from that perspective. Or am I okay getting going and stashing cash until I can upgrade? And if so, what should I go for? He then says, doubt it'll be an XT5 for a while. I'm a joiner as a main job, and so all spare cash goes on sharp, spinny, cutty things. What would be the best initial upgrade? XT2, 3, 4, or XH1? Would appreciate your thoughts. Love both the shows, by the way, and he's a patron on both. Go you. Well done, Craig.
I think that I wouldn't go for an XH above an XT when you look at the money, and certainly not an XH1. Would you, Kev? I don't know what you get a second-hand XH1 for now, but I'd certainly be going for an XT with a much more up-to-date focusing system, wouldn't you? Because you're going to need that for these little pests. Beautiful pests. I tell you what, they're lovely pictures that you've got on Beautiful Monsters. They are monsters, aren't they? But they're lovable ones. In amongst them, by the way, Kev, my eye is drawn to one that's sort of, it's kind of like a cheeky inclusion of all the lovely dog pictures running around and doing what dogs do, and a cat, and there's a chicken.
And a cow.
And a cow, yes, there is a cow there as well. But the chicken, I don't know, chickens always look quite amusing to me. It's almost like, hello! But I think a T rather than an XH if you're going to go in a used market and look for something a bit better than a 1. And the XT1, the focusing is not going to be particularly fast for these things, is it?
Well, no, it's not. You're right. However, if it's doing this job, if you're getting the stuff you need from it, and you don't really think, oh, I'm missing shots, or that could have been better.
Well, yeah, but how many are you missing? Yeah, that's the whole point, though, Kev. How many are you missing? You might be getting shots, but how many are you missing?
Well, exactly, but he doesn't say. No. He doesn't say that the XT1 isn't working for him at the moment. And clearly, by looking at the pictures...
Oh, lovely.
All right. Yeah. So, yeah, I'd go for the XT4, though, because that has the newer sensor than the XT2 and 3 with the better subject detection and certainly much better autofocus speed. But, if, like I said, if the XT1 is okay and you are saving up, then save those shackles for a XT5 perhaps, or an XH1S, whatever the faster version of those are, XH2S.
XH2S, yeah.
I mean, I don't like the XHs at all.
No, I know you don't, no.
T4. If you want to buy something now, I would go for the T4 for sure.
The T's less money as well.
Make sure you need it. Yeah.
If it's XT5 versus XH2S, then look at the prices. I think I know which one I'd be going for with your business. That's for sure. Any advice to him, Kev? He's just started some. I like the brand, by the way. I know the logo is not the brand, but I do like the logo within the brand. Beautiful monsters. Any advice for his website, Kev, as he starts his business in this new adventure?
It's quick to load. I like it. I'm not a big fan of pop-up images, as we've said before. Like the gallery on the homepage. Yeah. I'd much prefer be proud of your images. So have them big full screen straight away, rather than clicking on them to get them up, because then people have to look for that little X, which sometimes gets lost, and then they don't know what to do, and then they might just close the image, close the website. Looks good. I would suggest a contact form on the contact page rather than just a Gmail address. Yeah. More professional, nice fonts, quick to load, good branding, lovely images. Bob's your uncle.
Wondered. Bob's not on there. He's not even in the background with the chicken, Kev.
Bet one of those dogs is called Bob, or the cow. The cow looks like he might be called Bob.
I love dogs that have very human names. People have gone through. I think Dave is. I apologise if your dog is called Dave, but Dave has kind of done the rounds now in dog names, hasn't it? So I've met a few Westies called Dave. It seems to be a very popular name for Westies.
I know somebody lives in Malmesbury who has had collies. Ever since we've been here, he's now on his third collie, and he reckons he's had about 6 or 7 collies over the years, and he's called every single one of them Steve. Everyone.
Every single one.
It's been called Steve.
Just Steve. See, that's a very human name. I quite like that.
I don't know. The reason why I don't know, I don't like it, I got to say, because when you're in the park, you're shouting out, Steve!
All the Steves look round, yeah. But with your one, Git!
Yeah.
People think, who are you calling a Git?
Yeah.
Get you in trouble, Kev.
Maybe, yeah.
Should we do bookity book? Let's do the book before we do another question. So, what's this one? We've got 2 in a row coming up. We're blessed. We're blessed.
So Robert Birnbach, I don't know whether it's Birnbach or Birnbach, right? But anyway, he's a long-time listener of the show, and we've talked about his works before on his Instagram, the beautiful kind of jazz music that he's done. Yeah. And the book is called The Silence Between, right? And I shall read the little blurb on the back. There's a nice little picture of him. Proper book as well, this. He's got his ISBN number, all of that kind of stuff.
Oh, it's been registered then.
It says, The Silence Between captures the vibrant essence of live music through the observant eye of photographer Robert Birnbach. This collection of photographs takes you up close to the world of melodies and the pauses that give them meaning. Ooh. Birnbach's work showcases the intense focus of a musician lost in a performance, highlighting the spaces where music lives and breathes. The book captures performers in their most focused states, where every note is a purposeful journey and every silence is laden with anticipation. Birnbach's images are so evocative that they transcend their stillness. You don't just see the music, you can almost hear the melodies playing through the quiet. There you go. And it's very true. It's a beautiful, nice, big, hardback, vertical book. What I love about it, there is some more text at the beginning. It's an introduction from Robert himself. And I won't read it all, but it says, the silence between is a bit of a misnomer, or at least a contradiction. It is inspired by Claude Debussy's idea that, in quotes, it's the silence between the notes that holds the key to all music. That is true. It's almost like that. On a tangent, it's like comedy, isn't it? It's the pauses. It's the timing of comedy that makes it funny.
Yeah, dead air. Dead air is your friend.
Not usually the jokes.
No.
So yeah, individual images with simple with the name of the musician. And you're right. You get a sense. I get a sense of the character. Just like looking at the people. It does not look. It's not like typical concert photography, if you like. Where they are playing up to the crowd or anything like that. It's about the personalities of the people. Page 58, page 59. Herbie Hancock and Chick Corea. That's very nice. Madison McFerrin, beautiful, soft black and white portrait that might be in a studio rather than in a concert hall. That's lovely. A really lovely, soft, kind of low light portrait of her recording something. Lots of color, lots of black and white. Well laid out in that, there's every image seems to work together with the images on the opposite side of the page, compositionally wise and flow of the book wise. Not necessarily color v black and white, all of that kind of stuff, but very, very few images that break the travel of your eye across the pages, I think. And a lot of these, I used to listen to a lot of this kind of music, less so these days, but a lot of the names I recognize and a lot of them I don't. So, a lot of people to discover as well on my Tidal piece of software. Sorry, I'm drifting off into typing in music now. Music names.
Are you with us, Kev?
Look at that picture there. Page 152. Jay Horde. Amazing, like proper belting out his song there. And, I don't know if you know him, but he wears these kind of funky clothes and everything. So making a point of that. Very nice. And amazing. I'm mostly drawn to the black and whites, as I usually am. But the amazing use of light in these photos is incredible, because sometimes you see there's a great picture of Benny Benback III here, and all you can see is him in pitch black and the trumpet. The way that the image has been executed is beautiful. That's a double page spread as well. But if you're photographing, I've never done this kind of stuff, but I would imagine it's really tricky because the light is moving constantly, and to be able to get a image that captures the character and the performance still within the boundaries of the light that you're given is tricky. So I think it's a beautiful book.
Are there more black and whites and colours in there, Kev?
I would say there probably is. Yeah. So it's published by Snap Collective. It's called The Silence Between Robert Birnbach, and you can get it. You can go to snap-collective.com and you'll be able to find it. We will obviously link to it in the show notes as well. If you're into this kind of music, I think it's a great book. Not even just the music, but the photography. It's really well put together. Very nice indeed.
Fabulous.
Smells nice as well.
It's not about what it smells like.
No, what books need to smell nice? It smells much nicer than my Fujifilm Zoom 60 that smells like it's been in the basement in Swindon for the last 40 years.
Oh, that's a horrible thought, Kev. Well done, Robert. Lovely book. I look forward to being allowed to pick it up when I go over to Kev's to look at all that camera kit that you've got. I wonder if we've got time for another question. Kev's off on holiday soon, so we can't be doing 1.5 hour long editions while Kev's packing his trunks. What are you taking with you? You travel. You're a travel light merchant, aren't you? You're normally just your budgie smugglers, aren't they?
Yeah, I don't take any. I've got clothes there. I just need to take something to drive in. That's it.
Every time I see a picture of you, well, usually it's the obligatory beer and feet picture that you start with, and your swimming trunks, and that's it. That's it, Kev, for as many weeks as he stays on holiday. Do you ever move from that sun? You do actually move, don't you, from the Sun Lounger?
Yeah. We go all over the place.
Yeah.
Beach, go from the beach to the pool, from the beach to the pool, from the beach to the pool,
and that's it. Right, one from Will Collin. Hi, Kev. Hi, Neil. A few weeks ago, I told you about the glitchy command dials on my old Fujifilm XT1. It's XT1 week this week, Kev. I asked you whether I should try the remedy I'd found on YouTube, which is to squirt the dials with an electrical contact cleaner. Your advice was, yes, give it a go. Although Kev said, under no circumstances should I spray it with WD-40. I think it was me that said WD-40.
I think it was you, yeah.
It was me. Yeah. And I did suggest WD-40, then very quickly recalled, thinking that somebody might actually go and do it. I did give it a go. And sorry, Kev. Oh, you can take the blame, Kev. It was Kev Watt said it. I did use WD-40. But I should clarify, I didn't use regular WD-40. I didn't know there were two, Kev. I thought there was just one.
WD-39.
Yeah, and a half. But another product in their range called WD-40 Specialist Contact Cleaner. There we go, Kev. Every day's a school day. Good news is that the command dials are now working much better. They respond correctly, probably 90% of the time. Would that please you, Kev? 90% of the time? Is that a fair hit rate?
I'd be happy with that, yeah.
Just
I'd be less happy with the smears of oil than my pictures, though.
Just failing to register a click every now and then. The process was quite easy and quick, and it doesn't seem to have harmed the camera or damaged the exterior finish. The faux leather was already starting to peel off before I did this, but that's another story. So to my advice, anybody who encounters this problem, go ahead, squirt the dials. Thanks for giving me the nudge to give this a try. Thank you, Will Collin.
Good stuff. I'm glad it works.
WD-40 Specialist Contact Cleaner. So there we go. There's one happy customer. I thought for a minute it was going to be, I used it and it didn't work. Here's an invoice.
Yeah, that's right. It's your fault.
Yeah, it's your fault, Kev. Which means I'm handing the baton back to you because we have got time for another one from Facebook. I'm not so sure we're going to have enough, though, are we? We're going to be able to do 2 weeks worth.
I got plenty in the kind of history. I think.
Okay.
All I'm saying that. I'm struggling to find one right. Right. Okay. Steve Ford. Remember Steve?
Who?
Steve Ford.
Yeah, of course we do. Of course we remember
Hi,
Steve.
gents. Greetings from the bottom of the world. Has there ever been a moment in your photography career where you have hit a mental brick wall? And if so, how did you overcome it?
It was called COVID, and I was made to take 4 years off by the then Prime Minister. Mental brick walls.
Mental, yeah.
I don't know. I had, I had with the wedding photography. I think I had a quivering moment, and it was partly, I think it was partly driven by peers, like not Piers Morgan, by peers like you, Kev, where I could see people sort of coming out of the industry thinking, why am I still in it? Maybe I'm wrong for this, and I did sort of. I queried my and I sort of started building the tunnel, as it were, and then I thought, not necessarily driven by the fact that I still need to pay a mortgage, but then I thought, do you know what? No, it's something that I know how to do, and there are moments of a day that I don't enjoy as much as other moments. That's for sure. I don't enjoy that. You know, sometimes when it goes deathly quiet and you think, oh, what are we going to photograph? I mean, I've looked for as much light as I can possibly poach out of this, and it's just not happening. There are those moments, but overall, I sort of drag myself, not kicking and screaming, but drag myself back into this realization that, do you know what? I can do this, and it's something I know very well. I think that was my only mental block in photography terms. Was the mental block the bit that where you started thinking, I don't want to shoot weddings anymore? For you?
No, it wasn't a mental thing. It was just I decided. It wasn't anything as kind of scientific as that. Really, I think mental block. I don't know really mental block.
So being devoid of ideas for new things.
Yeah, maybe, and I think that mostly happens to me when I'm doing other types of photography. Like street photography, for example. Mm-hmm. You know, you're kind of, there's nothing really exciting going on here, and boom, boom, boom. But then I have to pull myself into the things that I teach people about, about time and patience, and themes and projects and stuff like that. But that can happen, if I'm out and about by myself. But I don't. I think from a mental point of view, I think over the years, the thing that's kind of disrupted me the most is just the kids growing up and becoming less, not photogenic, but less,
willing to be.
It's not even willing so much. It's, they're still willing for me to take pictures. It's just that, they're not just messing about in a paddling pool in the garden anymore, or spraying water over each other, or, playing chess on the floor of the living room, those kind of things. They get on remarkably well, but they don't tend to do that. The stuff that I used to love photographing.
Do you mean they've lost the cuteness factor?
Yeah, they've turned up to be ugly little f***ers.
You're going to get in so much trouble from Gemma. I know she listens.
Joking.
She may not have got this far in the programme, but you'll know if she has when she very sharply strikes you with her elbow.
Yeah.
Later on, but that does change.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah, it's different. It's a different time of life, isn't it? Do you miss those shots of Albie underwater with his goggles on, looking huge?
Yeah, and actually, you know what? Even when we went last year, I still take those kind of pictures. I still have them, but they're not ones I share now because they're older. And it's not fair on them, but. But yeah, it's not the same, it's not that he doesn't have his little rubber ring on anymore. He doesn't jump in the swimming pool in his Spider-Man pajamas that don't fit him. I mean, he wouldn't be able to put his hand in them now, let alone his trouser legs, his legs. So yeah, that kind of thing. But, but things are different now. We can, when we're on holiday, we'll be able to sit around the table and have a nice meal together rather than, having to constantly entertain. Things change.
Yeah.
I miss a lot of elements, and I'm talking about photographically here rather than, just
life elements. Yeah.
Things change. There are different things to photograph, but that's been a mental change over the years for sure.
Oh, Kev, do you want a hug?
Yeah.
Okay, there we go.
Not from one of my ugly kids.
Okay. You are going to get in trouble. You are. Right, well, that's it for another couple of weeks. We do have the pop-up, of course, next week. If you're one of our patrons, thank you very much. Please keep sending these questions in. It's very important. If you want to send them in by Facebook, Kev, how does this happen?
Go to Facebook, go to search for the Fujicast group, and you can join a group of 3.8 thousand people who, and at the top pinned post says questions for the show post. And I would like it if you could refrain from answering those questions. That'd be great.
You've learned now that upsets Kev.
You can answer anything else.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But even if you were once upon a time one of the top salespeople for this glorious company, that it still upsets Kev just a teensy bit. And if you'd like to send them in by email, send to click@fujicast.co.uk. Always a joy to receive your questions via email. That's it for this week. Thank you, Kev. Bye.
Bye.
The Fujicast is an independent loading zone production. Email the show with your questions and words of wisdom to click@fujicast.co.uk. Email any complaints and political nonsense to our wives, who will deal with your comments in their own good time and in their own good way.